my husband died suddenly 4 months ago in an accident at 44 years old. I'm having a difficult time accepting it. How can I accept it fully with my heart and soul? He was the best husband and father. And so the question I was going to ask before I saw this was, we believe in punishments and blessings, and I think, in our personal tribulations and personal trials, one of the most commonly asked questions is like, am I being punished? Is this a curse or a blessing? Like, is this trial a punishment, or is it, a blessing for me? What did I do wrong, or what did I do right? If someone is at a spiritually high level, what did I do right in response to a trial? So how do we distinguish between, something bad happens to us and we evaluate, is this the evil eye? Is this, is it that? Versus, maybe Allah wants to elevate you.
Yeah, first of all, may Allah have mercy on him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant him shahada. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the process of granting him that shahada, Allah Azza wa Jal allow him to intercede for you and for all of his loved ones, and to join you all once again in paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate his rank. May Allah Azza wa Jal magnify your reward. Allahumma ameen. One of the things that's important, I did do a series called For Those Left Behind. I'd encourage the sister to watch it, inshallah ta'ala, just on how to deal with death and dying in this regard. I do believe that car accidents, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, fall under the categories of the shuhada, because sahibul hadm is one of the things that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the person who's crushed, and obviously the way that car accidents happen talks about untimely death, and usually it's hadm, right? It's that element. So it is a form of shahada bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And in the process, one of the reasons why Allah Azza wa Jal grants such a mighty reward for the shaheed, which is intercession of paradise, is that usually it's not just the pain that the shaheed felt, which is very little before they died, maybe because of the quickness by which their soul experienced Jannah, but it's also the emptiness of those that were left behind, the void that could only be compensated with Jannah. And so the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that Allah Azza wa Jal has said, Mali abdil mu'min indi jaza, that my believing servant has no reward for me. إذا قبضت صفيه من أهل الدنيا ثم احتسبوا إلى الجنة. If I took their loved one, their chosen one, their loved one in this dunya, and they sought my reward except for Jannah, I have nothing to give them except for Jannah. Jannah is what I will give them in return. So fully accepting it, look, allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to grieve. Just don't grieve in a way that's displeasing. And we objectively know what displeasure and grief looks like. Displeasure and grief is to say, because the Prophet ﷺ said, "La naqulu illa ma yurdillah." We only say that which is pleasing to Allah. So just transgression and grief is to say what's not displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's crying is sunnah. Wailing is not sunnah. It's the opposite of the sunnah, which is to go overboard in that regard, to say haram, to question Allah Azza wa Jal. So accepting it fully with your heart does not mean not feeling the pain. It means to take it bi'idhnillahi ta'ala and to see it as just a circumstance of life, and to thank Allah for the years that you had, and to thank Allah bi'idhnillahi ta'ala for what you had of that person, that husband, that father. And look, I can tell you, subhanAllah, dear sister, and Tariq, I'm sorry, I know you asked another question, we probably don't have so much time to get to it, but look, I've seen that kids who grow up and they had a father who left this world in khayr, meaning they were known for their goodness and they left in goodness, or a mother who left in goodness and they were known for their goodness, that the kids are almost raised by the image of that person and the place of that person. It's actually an incredible thing to witness, like from an imam's perspective, pastorally, because it's like this hero, you left the world untainted in a way, like, I've got to do this for mom, I've got to do this for dad, and extend mom, extend dad in that regard. And so your kids bi'idhnillahi ta'ala will have the beautiful memories, and if they're too young or whatever the case may be, they'll also have your beautiful memories of your husband, inshallah ta'ala. And this dunya is very short, and I pray that Allah Azza wa Jalla will reunite you in his pleasure. Allahumma ameen. To quickly answer you, Tariq, the way that we deal with trial, how do I know if it's a punishment? How do I know if it's a source of elevation? There's no way to get that question answered in this dunya. But if you respond to the test or trial in ways that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is necessarily a form of elevation. Because expiation is a form of elevation. Expiation is removal of the sins that stop you from ascending in rank and ascending in your soul. And so expiation is a form of elevation. And the Prophet ﷺ taught us that the believer is not struck by anything, not even the prick of a thorn, and is patient, seeking Allah's reward, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed some sins as a result of that. And so you're not going to be able to get the exact answer, but you should not default to it being a punishment. Instead, you should default to it being a potential for reward, period. It's always a potential for reward. Why it happened, did it come as a result of this, did it come as a result of... I'm never going to get that answer here. So don't paralyze yourself trying to find an answer that you cannot get, because it would require you to be something that you're fundamentally not. Instead, engage yourself, trouble yourself with what it is that you can make out of this test and this trial. And may Allah Azza wa Jalla elevate us all through our blessings, through our trials, and grant us the best of this life and the next. Amen.